All right, we're going to do a quick video on troubleshooting. Could not obtain information about Windows NT group user domain X user X error code 05. So the big one to start on this is how do you have your permissions, user accounts, Active Directory, all of that. How does that all set up? You definitely want to check the account, you want to check the server, you want to make sure that it has permissions, everything it needs to. Of course, I put on here a funny story. Though it's a different error, but I had a colleague of mine who I just love working with. He's so awesome, but he had a tendency to lock himself out of his account all the time. In fact, I had to write a custom PowerShell script just to constantly, log him out on all these remote servers because he would consistently lock his account out. And the funniest part of it was one time he called me at like 2 o'clock in the morning and he's like, "Hey, I locked my account out." I was just laughing. I was like, man, it is awesome when someone calls you at 2 in the morning for that reason. If using Active Directory, make sure that the user has permissions or that nothing was changed. Remember that with permissions, if you do like automated changes, for instance, you might say, okay, well, we don't want these users to connect from this time to this time. Could be maintenance or whatnot. Okay, well, but if there's something going on, that could be an issue. Also, remember the situations where, and I just do it this way, but it's like where one user executes through another user, which then executes through another user. This happens all the time, and this happens quite a bit, where you'll have a user account that kicks off, let's say, a PowerShell script, that the PowerShell script is logged in through a different way, and so on and so forth. Well, when you have one user to the next, whoa, right? That's what I mean by, how are your permissions set up in this? And then, of course, fifth is there's special environment situations like copying a database to a BAK to a server where a user doesn't exist from the domain, location, etc. So every environment has their own way of doing things, and it's impossible to know all the different ways you're doing things in your environment. But that could also be it. You could be doing something in your process that somewhere a user doesn't have access from the domain. So that's what I would do, and I would start looking through those areas. But start out with how are your permissions set up, and then, of course, to minimize it, how can you get your permissions, I don't want to say consolidated, but organized in a manner to where if you do run across these errors, you can troubleshoot them very quickly.